So, welcome everybody to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. And I am in my art room in Arizona. So, it is beautiful here. The temperature today was probably, 78, 79 degrees. It's 74 right now. And unlike Wyoming, where it is very, very cold. So, welcome in. And today we are going to talk about celery. It's one of my favorite things to eat. I have eaten it since we were very little. My mom always had celery in the fridge, and we would put peanut butter or cheese or different things on it. And I thought, celery is one of those things that's a little hard to grow sometimes. And I thought we would talk about it. But let's just say hi to a few people. Teresa's in here. Cora's in here. Cora, I subscribe to your channel. Julie's in here. Ginger is here. Hello. And Ann. Ann, girl, how are you? I have been on a group text with Ann today, and so that has been interesting and fun. So welcome all in. I should do a couple little things first. What am I giving away today? I'm giving away this heart, magnet on the back, and this heart, magnet on the back. They're made out of fused glass. I do them right in my kiln, and so I'm going to give those away tonight. And look who's here, US Freedom 5. Hello, how are you? US Freedom 5 won a cup from around the hay bale, and so I hope you're enjoying that mug. So that is awesome. One other thing I want to do before we start talking about celery, because I do not want to forget, is a lot of us in our lives know Jennifer Ocean Homestead. Well, she sent me a card. It took a long time to get from Canada. I got it just before we left to go to Arizona. But look at there. Tomato seeds. And these seeds come out of Rainbow Seeds, which is in Canada, that the Vineyard Chicks is doing with survival seeds. So yes. Thank you very much for those seeds. And Belinda is here in Arizona. Belinda, what part of Arizona? Because, I'm in Yuma. And I don't know what part of Arizona you're in. Oh, good. You got the mug. Good. So exciting. Now, I have been at what they call Paint-In Day today. There was probably about 50 artists, and there's a session in the morning, 4 different classes, a session in the afternoon, 4 different classes, and we got to learn different techniques. I didn't have to teach this year, and so I just got to enjoy it. So that was way fun. So first of all, in the comments, how many of you have tried to grow celery? And if you have, were you successful? Because that kind of gives me an idea of the direction we're going to do when we're talking about it. And I think Joe must have just got home because I heard somebody pull into the driveway. I got home, really about 2.5 hours ago, and he was nowhere to be found. And he didn't leave a note, but I figured, he's just probably gone someplace with some of the guys. Olivia, hello from Texas. Woohoo! So nice to have you in here tonight. And so, celery. Now, celery can be a tricky thing to grow. And I think it was Julie that made a comment up here. And let me see if I can find that. And her trick is growing celery is to start way in advance, 4 or 5 months. And I have to agree with that, because you plant the seeds and you might wait 3 weeks. You're going to have to keep it moist, not soggy, before it ever germinates. Now, can you help that a little bit? You can. You can soak your seeds first. That always helps with celery. And so that's a little trick to do. But you do have to be patient when you're growing celery, because it may take 3 weeks to even germinate. Then it may take you 3 or 4 weeks before it's big enough to actually transplant into your garden. And depending on the type of celery you're growing, it may be it may be 80 days all the way up to 140 days from this when you plant the seed till when you're actually harvesting, because there's different kinds of celery, and that can make a difference on when you grow it. Now, if you've been not successful growing your celery, there's a plant you could grow that's a perennial that's called, I call it lovage. Some people call it lovage, but I've always called it lovage. It's a perennial. Mine back in Wyoming grows about 5, 6, 7 feet tall, depending on the season. And I just whack it all off each year. And it's very intense celery flavor. I do recommend, if you're growing lovage, to use the tender little stalks. Once it gets bigger, they're a little more bitter. And so that's an interesting thing to look at. Julie lives, I do live in a perfect climate because she's very close to the celery capital of the United States. I still have one from last year that hasn't bolted yet, because that can be a problem with celery, because it can bolt if it gets too dry or it's very intense heat. It can bolt and want to go to seeds. And Rudy's in here. Imagine if the weather was 59 degrees. 59 is not too bad, really, for a lot of places around the country. Teresa is back. Madeline, hello, how are you? Yay. Okay, so when you're growing celery, usually when I grow it in Wyoming, if I don't grow it from seed, I'll buy the starts, and they're usually 6 inches or more tall. And that's about when you want to plant it outside. You always want to harden your celery off so it gets kind of used to being outside. But things that can be really tough on celery are really the winds. And in Wyoming, we have winds. In Texas, there's winds. So if you can do something to block that so it's not quite so windy, it can really help. Oh, Madeline says, all is great here in Florida. Hoo. So, what I do in Wyoming is I have access to these great big PVC pipes. Oh, and the inside is probably 8 to 10 inches across. And they have some holes in them. It was something that somebody donated to the community gardens. And so when I plant my celery, the actual plant, I just put those over top of them. It still gets lots of sun because the celery needs at least 6 hours of sun. But it blocks that wind. And that can just be a killer to celery. Because really, wild celery, is from the Mediterranean area. It grows in the marshes, and so it wants a lot of water. In fact, celery is one of the most water-hungry plants that you'll have in your garden. So even though you think that you're growing it and you're giving it enough water, you might be surprised that maybe you're not. And it's just one of those plants that really need it. Sometimes I've dug like a trench, like a berm, I guess I would call it, not a trench, a berm around it, so that it can hold the water and slowly seep in. Oh no, Cora says that it's 40 degrees and rainy. That's chilly. Hi, Penny. How are you? Good evening. Penny, we are talking about celery. And so when we get to about quarter after, if I'm just jabbering away, somebody write in there, give away a heart, because I got to give away 2 hearts and I want to spread that out through my half-hour live. So you've got your 3 weeks that it takes to germinate. Then it's probably 8 to 10 weeks before you're actually planting it out. Like if I grow my celery from seed in Wyoming, I have to start those seeds easily in March. I want to not plant the celery out until it's always at least 50 degrees, day and night. It can't be lower than that. And so that it's given the soil some time to warm up too. And so that's an important thing to do. And then I like to space them anywhere from about 6 to 8 inches apart. And then I'll let them start growing. I'll make sure that they're blocked by the wind and they're getting enough water. Teresa, thank you so much. Yes, give me a thumbs up. That helps with all my YouTube analytics and algorithms and everything. So really do that. Now, Ginger says, I really have never had good luck with celery. Now, here's a trick, a tip that you might do. If you don't have any of that big PVC pipe, or you don't have anything to block it off like a bamboo fencing, something that's going to help block that wind, there are people that literally wrap newspaper around. It kind of blanches it so that it's that lighter green stalks and it blocks the wind. It helps hold the moisture in. And so that's just a little trick. Oh, good. May give it a shot again. Anne says that celery is one of her favorites. For us, when we were growing up, my mom had this gallon jar in the refrigerator. And it either or had both pieces of celery about, 3 or 4 inches long and sticks of carrots. And so we would want something to eat. And my mom would say, there's celery and there's carrots in there. And like the celery, we would put peanut butter or cream cheese or regular cheese. Sometimes we put peanut butter and some raisins. I know, it's crazy with things. And Nancy is here. Hello, Nancy girl. How are ya? So fun. People are just popping in. Julie says, if you aren't up to planting from seed, plant the base of a store-bought celery and it will grow. Because this is true. I have many times, just for fun, after we bought this thing of celery in the middle of the winter time, I've cut it off and then I've grown again that base in water. But you can actually grow that base in soil. And it will have lots of roots. It will send the stalks back up. Not as many stalks as what originally was, but it is an easy way to have some celery, And she's feeding you the good stuff. That's right. She was feeding us the good stuff. My mom always has vegetables with the meals. Not breakfast, but with lunch and dinner, there's always fresh vegetables. There's always a salad. It's just a thing my mom has always done. And my mom is, how old is my mom? 87 years old. And she still does it. There is always fresh vegetables. It's just one of those things that she thinks you should have. It is, and celery and peanut butter is the best. It's so much fun. And celery doesn't have a lot of calories, But one thing to note, when you put PVC around it or newspaper around it, your celery plants, it is not getting as much sun. It is blanching it. So it's got that lighter stalk, and that's how people like to buy it in the store. But it also does not have as many vitamins. Just so you know that. It's, they've tested it. They've done studies. It just doesn't have as much. Nancy says she is doing good. Awesome. Okay, so there are some, you got to pick the celery that you want. If you have a shorter growing season, you should grow celery that it has shorter days. Or start it inside and be willing to do all that to go through planting the seeds, because it's basically going to be in your house 12, 13 weeks before you ever put it outside. So it's just something to think about. Craig, how are you? Ginger says, so when you grow celery, do you harvest just a few stalks as you need, or better to harvest all the stalks? Ginger, really, that is a choice. You can easily just break off some of those outer stalks. You know, you're making a salad, and you can easily just break them off and then harvest the rest of it later. It's totally up to you. So if you plant several plants and kind of stagger them so that you're planting some every about 2 or 3 weeks, then you have a longer season and you can just whack that celery out or pull it up completely out of the ground. Totally up to you. Julie likes to harvest just what you need and it will keep growing more. It will, definitely. And so it just really depends on what you do, how much you need at the time. Many, many times I've just broken off a few stalks off of different plants and used it like that. Now, another thing about celery, it is very needy. It needs lots of water and needs lots of food. So really, if you didn't have anything else, give it a tomato feed. Because tomato feed is really kind of that all-around kind of thing that you can do. I like fish emulsion or any kind of organic fertilizer I like to use. I like to put banana peels and brown sugar in a jar, fill it with water, and let it sit there for weeks. I strain it off, mix some extra water in there because it's a little powerful, and pour that around. That's just something I like to do. Then you can take those banana peels, chop them up, and throw them in your compost. Oh, it's 17 after. We have to give one away. Okay, let's give this green one away. Okay, and see, it has a magnet on it so it can go on a fridge, different things, but wherever you want to put it, right? So let me type that in. Oop, I just dropped it. And Nightbot will pick a winner. And all you had to do was comment, and Nightbot will pick. So we are doing the green one. Nightbot says the winner is Cora. You are the winner. Yay. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I am going to put my email across. Cora, you got to send your address. I could find it, but you could just send it to me, and that would be much easier for me. So, woohoo! Cora is the winner of the green one. Now, remember, just before I in the live, we are going to give this one away. Okay? Awesome. Now, pests. Let's talk about pests when it comes to celery. There are different things. Aphids, carrot fly. Like in Wyoming and Arizona, I never have carrot fly. But there are a lot of places that do have carrot fly, and that can be really devastating to your plants. You could have weevils, you could have cutworms. Those are just some of the bugs that like celery too. Probably the two biggest bugs that want your... Oh, okay. Thanks, Cora. The two biggest problems are slugs and snails. So if you live someplace that has slugs and snails, they will like your celery. What can you do about that? You can wrap copper around. Like Joe cut me some PVC pipe, and I had him cut it about an inch tall, inch and a half tall. And then I just took some thin copper and I wrapped it around it, because what happens with slugs and snails, when they touch copper, it does a chemical reaction and they don't like it. I mean, seriously, they don't like it. And US Freedom 5, they don't like salt either. Though I think you always gotta be careful with salt, because it is going to dissolve into your soil. But sometimes you just gotta do that. Henry Leslie, Vermont, how are ya? Celery grows well here. Awesome. Celery does not really like a lot of heat. It likes 50 to 65 degrees, 70 degrees. So when you're growing it throughout the summer, you got to do something to protect it from that heat because you don't want it to bolt. So you can do row covers over top of it. You can, I've used bamboo fencing over top. You just kind of, I like to use PVC pipe in hoops and then hook that with my bamboo fencing because you want to keep it cooler. It's crazy that they don't like copper. I mean, it's like a shock to them. And so they just don't like it. But really a lot of barriers can help stop them. You can take chicken wire or that hardware wire and make it go over top of it because like squirrels and raccoons will eat your celery. And so that will stop them. Henry Leslie, Vermont. Henry says that he uses Epsom salt. And a lot of people use Epsom salt in their garden. Just always remember, Epsom salt is still salt. Store-bought fertilizers are different salts. And you don't want to have that too much of buildup into your soil that it can be tough, okay? It can be tough. So that's just something to look at. Can it have diseases? Can celery have diseases? Early and late blight it could have. I know there's more, but I just can't think of it. It is pink rot. That's something celery can get. So, but some of the diseases are because maybe you're having a really rainy summer and it's getting too much moisture. And so then all your plants are a little more prone to blights, a little more prone to rots. And so it's just something to keep an eye on. And thanks, Nancy. It's just things to learn. There are a lot of PDFs that you can get from different universities based on where you live. And they talk about celery, and they can give you some really good, helpful hints about that. Let's see what else I wanted to say. Conquistador is a good celery. Summer Pascal is a good one. There's a Utah one. It has numbers, but honestly, I can't remember the numbers. I'm sorry. But you could probably put celery seed Utah, and it'd probably come up for you. But there's a lot of, about any store you go to that has seeds is going to have some kind of celery seed. But probably right now or through March, you need to be starting your seeds inside. And you want to make sure that they have good lighting so that when they start to come up, they have enough light so that they can absorb it, so that they can get that strong 4 to 6, 7 inches tall before you're planting them outside. Could you plant them from seed outside? It's difficult. You have to really have the perfect weather, the perfect, you're going to have to be in the south. You're going to have to, it's just much easier to start them inside. That's just the facts of it. It is just easier. And if you can't start them yourself, a garden center will have celery starts. You can get them in the 4-packs or you can get them in the 6-packs. And they're a fun thing to try. If you haven't ever grown celery, I would suggest, I would hope that you would just at least try 4 plants, 6, depending on what kind of pack you can get. And it's really interesting on what you can do. I was going to show you this. I wasn't really sure if you'd be able to see it. I'm going to fold this in half, so maybe that will make it easier to see. But it just shows you the stages of. So it starts out with that little seed, the first 2 seeds, the true seeds, and see how it's kind of spindly at first. And it's not till later on, till it's almost ready, that it really gets thicker. Now, have I found that my celery is thinner than what it is in the store? Yes. But I'm sure it's the fertilizer, because I use all natural fertilizers. I don't want to use any chemical ones. And I'm sure most of the store-bought ones do have chemicals on them. Henry says, I also use wood ash on my garden. Some folks say yay and some others nay. I put most of my wood ashes, I put around my fruit trees. So I would say yay. I would say yes to use that in your garden. And I think it's really like anything. You don't want to put too much of anything in your garden. You want to have it a whole bunch of different things to make your garden complete. But I'm not going to not use my wood ashes, because we heat our house in Wyoming with wood. So we always have ash. And I've always put them around my fruit trees, and once in a while in my garden, but most of the time the fruit trees take it up. Ginger says, I had a great germination rate when I started in trays, covered the trays with saran wrap to keep the moisture in. Ann says, my celery is thinner too, but homegrown for us seems to have a stronger flavor. That I would totally agree with you, Ann. It is much more intense flavor. And I think, but don't you think everything in your garden has a better flavor than in the store? I mean, it's just fantastic, I think. So, if you're grown it in the heat of the summer, because it's a long season crop, make sure you're covering it. Make sure you're blocking the wind. Make sure you're giving it more water than what you think. Now, I like to mulch my celery around the base of my celery also. In Wyoming, I can't mulch my celery until the soil is about 70 degrees. I have a soil probe that tells me the temperature. If I do it too early, if I mulch too early, just the way our clay soils work where I live, it makes it so that soil never warms up past that. And so for us, that's just something I have to do. So I want the soil to be at least 50 degrees, if not warmer, before I put my celery in. A lot of times I don't put my celery in the ground until in the first part of June, just because it takes a while, depending on the year, for my soil to warm up. If I wanted to warm my soil up faster, I could. I could lay black plastic or clear plastic down in there, and it kind of solarizes the soil and it heats it up. And so that's a little trick you can do too. Madeline said, fresh is definitely better. That's true. Anne is agreeing also. I mean, it's just fabulous. So you got your plants every 6 to 7, 8 inches apart. And when it starts to grow, it's just such a fantastic plant to watch. And you can watch all of those different stalks get wider and wider. And it's a great anticipation, I have to tell you. I mean, it seriously is. Can you grow it in a pot? You can. And for some people, this is the better thing to do. Just because if all of a sudden your summers are really hot, you can literally move that so it's only getting that maybe the morning sun. You move it out of the hot sun in the afternoon, and you can move it back later on in the evening, because it does really need 6 to 7 hours of sunlight. It really does. Sander is in here. Whoo, whoo, whoo. How are ya? That's so exciting. Oh, we're almost at 30 minutes. So let's give the yellow heart away. Okay. So let me type it, and we will see who Nightbot picks. Hoo. And the winner is, Nightbot is going to pick, the winner is Nancy. The winner of the yellow one is Nancy. Congratulations, girl. Let me write that. And I did bring down some scrubbies, but I honestly can't tell you exactly where they are yet. Brought them down in a box, but we've only been down here for a week. So honestly, I just can't. So Friday morning, I will definitely be giving one away. So, but I hope this live inspired you to, if you've never grown celery before, or if you've grown it and it hasn't been as successful as you thought it should be, try it again. You know, if you're going to plant it from seed, do it, plant it this month or no later than March. Otherwise, wait and buy it in a nursery when it's already grown about. And you really want them 4 to 6, 7 inches tall before you plant them. Make sure you harden them off. Hardening them off means that you're going to put them out for a little while, bring them back in that day. The next day, they're out a little bit longer. If you have Ann says, Nancy is the winner. Did I say something else? Because I wrote Nancy down. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish reading it. I have your winnings packed up to mail tomorrow. Nancy, you won on Ann and you won on mine. That is fun. But I hope it really inspires you. If you decide to plant and you have a channel, make sure that you're showing people as they grow, because celery is a fantastic plant. If you can't have success with that, grow some lovage. You'll still get that extreme celery taste that you can add to things fresh. I've dehydrated lovage many times and added them in soups in the wintertime when I wanted that celery flavor, because celery can just add so much to your meal. But I'm going to let you go. What are we having for supper tonight? We are having lasagna. I had done it on Monday and we had some extra, and so tonight we are going to have the rest of our lasagna. And I'm sure, do I make and sell these? I have many times. I make all of them. And right now I brought down probably 40 of them. I don't know, 30, 40 of them. They're over on my file cabinet, which is metal. And I'm giving away every Wednesday night until Valentine's Day, which is probably just like next week. But I brought a whole bunch down so I can give more away. But if you're interested, just send me an email and I can make them all kinds of colors and all kinds of stuff. Penny says, it absolutely has inspired me to try growing celery for the first time ever. That's exciting. But I hope everybody tries some. I mean, we're gardeners. Some of us garden in containers. Some of us garden in raised beds. Some of us garden in the ground, or a combination. So try it. But everybody have a great night. Nancy, I got your address, so I will send that out to you tomorrow. Cora, have your mom send me your guys' address. I probably have it in my file. But just tell her to send it to me anyway. Okay, everybody, have a great night. I will see you